So yeah, XRP is sitting around $2.12 right now, right after I went and bought it at the top, of course. But honestly, I expected this. No surprises here, folks. And right on cue, today they dropped the news about the case. Now here's the kicker. What's considered good news for XRP usually sends the price down, and what looks like bad news somehow makes it rally. You guys picking up on that? It's kind of upside down logic, but that's how this market works. That's why I'm still bullish, because Bitcoin looks like it's about to break out in a huge way. Let me break this down for you. Don't throw in the towel just yet. I think today's move was meant to shake people out, to make you frustrated, emotional, and ready to sell. And when that happens, they pump it. That's the pattern, over and over again. Let me help you connect the dots. There's actually a lot of bullish development happening under the surface. The XRP ledger is evolving fast. Upgrades, new integrations, and it's not just hype. For example, CoinMe just rolled out support for XRP at over 28,000 physical retail locations across the US. That means you can now buy and sell XRP with actual cash. Yeah, cash. Bitcoin was one of the first to do this on a major scale, and now XRP is following suit. The XRP ledger keeps growing. It's finding more real-world applications, especially in banking and international transfers. So even though I'm not exactly sure where all these CoinMe spots are yet, what matters is this. Crypto, especially XRP, is entering the everyday world now. It's no longer just online. It's getting integrated into the real economy. And with the CoinMe app and debit card, XRP just got a whole lot more accessible. And get this, it's Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, and guess what's still playing on a loop in Times Square? Yep, the Ripple ad. Still running, still bright, still massive, dead center in New York City. All the money, right? So what's going on here? They haven't taken it down, not even once. From what I'm hearing, it's been airing nonstop every day. Could this be tied to bonds or something bigger? I don't know, but wow, that's a bold move. Right there in one of the biggest ad spaces in the entire world. Do you guys realize how big that is? Random people walking by, folks who've never even heard of XRP, they're now being subtly invited to check it out. This kind of exposure is insane. And you know what else? It's planting the idea of XRP as the future of finance in people's minds, even if they don't fully realize it yet. And then people say they're bearish. Really? This looks incredibly bullish to me. I couldn't even sleep last night. Seriously. I kept staring at the charts, feeling that anxiety build up. I kept thinking, come on, what's happening with XRP? But after digging deeper, I think I finally get it. And I'm going to break it all down for you in a second. We're going to expose it all. Because right now, the XRP ecosystem and community are buzzing. Now this is wild. XRP Mr. Poole tweeted on this exact day back in 2021. Now, and while it may not feel like a win today, especially after the SEC drama, maybe we actually did win, just not in the obvious way. Maybe what looks like a setback is actually a setup. Think about that. And then there's David Schwartz, who just replied to a tweet listing everything that's ready. XRP ledger, EVM, wallets, dApps, infrastructure, analytics, all of it. The XRP community, locked and loaded. The tweet even asked, should we go ahead and launch the mainnet? And David replied, if you could just wait a little longer. Why would he say that? Why wait now if everything's ready? Because we're this close right at the finish line. It's just a little more patience, guys. Almost there. And just like that, it's game over. Now the reason David Schwartz might have told them to wait just a little longer could be tied to this new legal twist. Josh Torres just reported that the judge denied the motion for an indicative ruling that came from Stewart's side. So now the ball's back in Ripple's court. They've got two choices on the table. Either they drop their appeal regarding those early institutional sales, or they keep pushing forward and fight it out through the appeals process. But here's what really matters. XRP's legal status hasn't changed. It's still not classified as a security. So in the meantime, it's business as usual. But honestly, guys, I'm confused too. It's hard to tell what's actually going on behind the scenes here. I've narrowed it down to two possibilities. Number one, this could all be strategic delay, like they're waiting for something specific to line up before wrapping this case up. Maybe some global event, some regulation, or just the world being ready. Once that external trigger hits, they'll finish the case in a blink. Number two, I've got no idea, but I doubt the motive is to shake retail holders out. It feels bigger than that. According to Bank XRP, this delay doesn't disrupt anything. It's just more waiting. Now, what did the judge actually say? Torres basically made it clear. Private settlements don't override public rulings. Her judgment still stands, and that serves the public interest. Ripple and the SEC can't just agree behind closed doors to ignore a federal decision. So the options, Ripple either drops the appeal and lives with the existing ruling, including the fine and injunction, or goes forward to challenge it in court. And here's the wild part. Ripple may just pay the fine and move on. In future XRP sales, if structured properly, they're greenlit. Why? Because the big win here is that XRP traded on public exchanges is not considered a security. This means any sale of XRP in secondary markets where you don't know who you're trading with is safe under current law. That brings us to the big opportunity. A massive supply shock is brewing. If institutions are now forced to buy XRP directly from public exchanges instead of getting it straight from Ripple, then what happens? Yep, the supply dries up fast. And when supply vanishes and demand explodes, That's when XRP could absolutely moon. If this plays out, we're talking a full-on launch sequence. Institutions piling in, price action going vertical, and a new era for XRP. Stay sharp, it's getting spicy. I'm telling you, this is exactly how the Bitcoin supply shock is playing out right now. Institutions are scooping up Bitcoin off the open market, whether it's through BlackRock, OTC desks, or spot ETFs. It's all happening quietly, but it's definitely pulling from the circulating supply. That's why Bitcoin's price keeps climbing. And honestly, XRP needs something similar to ignite its next run, and we might just be seeing the path for that unfold. If I've got this right, this could be how institutions get their hands on XRP, but not directly from Ripple anymore. That's important. Now, when it comes to institutional sales, the injunction from Judge Torres makes it clear Ripple is restricted from violating securities laws moving forward, which basically means any XRP sold to institutions in the future must be compliant, unless the SEC grants some kind of exemption or unless they find a regulatory workaround. So Ripple might just go the compliant route, or maybe there's another path being laid out. Either way, it's an interesting development, and it makes you wonder, could this tie into the Shane Ellis theory, that wild idea where XRP could suddenly skyrocket based on limited exchange supply and massive institutional demand? Welcome to the new SEC era, where things are vague, until suddenly they're not. You know what's kind of wild? It's still the same SEC, literally the same agency that's been going after Ripple from the beginning, and yet when they talk about Bitcoin or other cryptos, it's like sunshine and rainbows. Why is Ripple the one being squeezed so hard while every other project dances around freely? Something just doesn't line up. But according to BC Backer, there might be a white swan event looming on the horizon. Something good, something unexpected. The market doesn't seem ready for it, but Meta Lawman thinks both appeals could be dropped any moment now. Why? Because the lawyers from both sides probably saw this ruling coming a mile away. They've had time to plan for this. So is a surprise event coming? I'd say yeah. I genuinely believe we're right on the edge of something massive. Look, I get that XRP's been dumping and the sentiment is super bearish, but I'm not feeling that. To me, this all feels weirdly bullish. It's almost like XRP is being handed off behind the scenes, just like the Riddlers warned us. And here's the kicker. A lot of clues point to late July as a major inflection point. Could that be the end of the lawsuit? Could it be the final shakeout before XRP launches? I've got my eyes locked on July 23rd, and if you've seen the Ripple Riddlers tweet, you know that day might be bigger than people expect. You are player on the finish line. That's what it said. On the finish line, not near it. That's important. And guess what? That same tweet said it's going to happen overnight. The phoenix will rise. So to me, it's crystal clear. The end of July could be explosive. Right now, it feels like everything is being suppressed, bottled up like a beach ball being held underwater. And guess who's holding it down? Yep, the SEC. But when they finally let go, boom, instant explosion. The kind that makes the whole market go, what just happened? And I'm not guessing here, the charts are already showing liquidity flying up. You think they're going to let retail grab the gains? Nah, it's going to be taken overnight in a single vertical move. Even Arthur Brito dropped a subtle confirmation. The blue brick confirms, follow the blue light. That sounds like a coordinated moment to me. Something massive, an avalanche. So if you're wondering how I'm bullish when everything looks bearish, this is why. I was confused too. But then XRP versus Bitcoin finally took out liquidity from that massive range. Step 1, done. Now it's dipping for a second sweep, setting up a possible bullish divergence. If that plays out, it's going to rocket upwards. And don't ignore the timing. They always drop bearish headlines right before a pump. Classic move. So what's next? Another fake-out dump, and then liftoff. That's my current outlook. If it doesn't happen, cool. But I truly believe it will. And here's one more bullish clue. CME's XRP futures just hit 500,000 in volume in their first month, and 45% of that came from outside North America. That's serious global interest. And you know what they say, volume comes before price. So if you're bearish right now, I don't know what to tell you. I even sold an altcoin in the XRP ecosystem just to double down on my XRP bags. Because when the regulatory lid finally blows off and XRP is no longer suppressed, it's going to absolutely explode. Just wait, it's coming.